now that I'm officially done with my first season as a competitive golfer, super excited to go over a recap of everything that I learned in this season and some things that I'm going to be working on to improve now that I'm in the off season. Today's video, we're going to talk about what I learned over the course of this tournament and some areas that I think I'm going to be focusing on while I'm in the off season. Let's do it right meow. Thank you very much for tuning in to my YouTube channel. My name is Kenny. Some of you may know me as Kennie Kat. I am a competitive golfer, and this channel is dedicated to my journey on what it takes to become a better competitive golfer. Now, I don't want to do a full recap on every single tournament, but I am going to go over all 10 tournaments that I played in, and I'm just going to give a quick rundown of my position in those tournaments or what my score was, and then obviously what my strokes were relative to the winner, because in amateur tournaments, it's not as easy as PGA tournaments where like you make a cut or you don't make a cut. People are all over the place. So I think it's important to quantify how many strokes away from the leader I was in each tournament and then what my overall score was. My first tournament of the year was Stone Creek. That was in February. It's my home course. Shot an 89 there. Obviously, it was my first time playing competitive golf. I was extremely nervous and did not perform my best, but I scored an 89, and that was 11 strokes off of the lead. The second course I played was Falcon Dunes Golf Club in March. That was a 92, and I was about 15 strokes off of the lead. I remember that day because I was shanking the heck out of everything, and I've never been more nervous to play a round of competitive golf. I remember texting Kurt, basically saying that I lost my mind and couldn't play golf. Then in May, I shot a 93 at Whirlwind Golf Club. That was 18 strokes off of the lead, and quite possibly one of the most exciting tournaments that I've ever played, because at that point I started to get a really big click in my brain as to what I felt I needed to do in order to play some better competitive golf. The nerves started to subside, and I really went into my next tournament with no expectations and just focused on my process. My fourth tournament was in June. That was Portobello Golf Club or Portobello Country Club, and I shot an 80 and I won by 2 strokes. It was my first tournament win, super excited to get that one under the belt. And I think that was one of the things that really gave me the confidence to know that, hey, I can be a good competitive golfer, and this is something that I definitely want to pursue. First major of the year was at Tucson National, the Omni and Sonoran course. I scored a total of 168 across the 2 days. I was 6 strokes off of the lead and ended up coming in 3rd place. Definitely one of the more promising finishes in the first season of my tournament. I'll put a link in the description to the recap of that video right above. Afterwards, I followed that up at True North Golf Club. I shot a 93, which was 11 strokes off of the lead. Definitely not one of my most exciting performances, but this was right around the time that I started swing training, and I was dealing with some very, very big inconsistencies in my distances. And then I had my first tournament with the US Am Tour that I recently signed up for at TPC Champions course, which is the other course that's not stadium. I shot an 87 and I was off of the lead by 11 strokes. My final major of the year was at TPC Scottsdale, both stadium and Champions course. I shot 178, which was 24 strokes off of the lead. As you all may know, and if you don't, I've left it in my other recap video about losing is painful. I definitely gave up on myself in that last round, but all in all, there was definitely a lot of fight in that round and scored a lot of birdies and put a lot of good action and put some good swings and made a good effort out there on the course. I had a tournament shortly after at Talking Stick Golf Club. It was the North course. I shot a 90, which was 12 strokes off the lead. And then my final event of the year was Southern Dunes, which is a Troon course. I shot an 88, and that was 11 strokes off the lead. So all in all, that's 10 tournaments in my first season. That's 1 win and 2 top 5 finishes. Yay! All in all, I'm very impressed with that. I definitely did not expect to have a win this soon, but very glad and very happy that I did get it. I think looking at those numbers and that being my first season out, I'm very, very, very happy at how I finished. Didn't quite win enough points in the season to qualify to make it to nationals, but I was probably not going to go anyway, but we'll try to maybe hopefully get into a big national event playoff at the end of next year's season, or this year's season, since we're already starting the new season. And the final thing I want to talk about are just some of my scoring averages, since that is what's most important. I'm going to read some of these stats off of my screen over here. I maintained an average score of 88.25. A little bit higher than what my average score is in my casual practice rounds, but of course, tournament golf is a different beast and you have a little bit more pressure and, some shots are a little bit more intense. So I would expect that to be the case. My goal, obviously, for this season is to get that down to 82.2. So we want to drop about 6 strokes off of that scoring average. So let's talk about some of the areas that I have found a lot of confidence in and some things that I've done very well over the past season. My chipping around the greens has never been better. I have a very great grasp on my short game shots. I have very good visuals for it. I can see the lines. I really understand how the ball's going to roll out. I've learned to use multiple clubs around the green, from sand wedges to pitching wedges to, sometimes short irons. I'm very happy that my short game is strokes ahead of my overall game, and one of the good foundations that I've been able to build, because having a fundamental green side and having a strong green side game is really something that I'm going to have to rely on as I get better and better and enter more intense competitive situations. My overall speed and ball striking and club face control has improved dramatically over the last 2.5 years. I didn't think that it would be possible for me to get to the speeds that I'm at today with the club face control that I have and the path control that I have. Never in a situation on a course where I'm wishing that I had more power or that I feel like I don't have enough speed to get the ball to do what I needed to do or go the distance that I needed to go. Next thing is my putting process. I've put a lot of work into this, and I know I've made a few videos about distance putting, and putting has been something that has definitely been a strong suit of my game, but it's faded a little bit towards the back half of this season. I'm now confident in my putting process. I'm confident in my putting practice, and I'm confident in my putting stroke. And the last thing that I think I've really improved well in this season is I have a very concrete understanding of what my tendencies are. Very rarely do I hit a shot and I'm confused as to, one, why the shot happened, what I did to make it happen, and what I can do to improve that moving forward. I think becoming a master of your swing and your tendencies is so crucial for you to be able to self-diagnose and improve yourself as a golfer. But with that being said, there are some areas that I definitely do need to improve. For starters, my golf IQ and my process, pre-shot routine, need to dramatically improve. But there are a lot of gaps in my golf IQ and just my general scoring knowledge about what a good process looks like and what a good scoring golfer looks like. I'm still trying to learn a lot of those fundamentals. Another thing that definitely needs a lot of focus is my trail hip sliding in the backswing. This is one that definitely has gotten overlooked a lot, and as I go through all of the lessons that I've done with Kurt, we've been mentioning this over and over and over again. And I know this is probably something that I'm going to have to deal with for probably the rest of the time that I golf, but it's an area that needs to get improved, because when that trail hip slides, I have to make so many different compensations to get the club face where I need it to be, and that is not a sustainable system in order for me to play consistent golf and score to a high level. And then lastly, my approach shots inside of 150 yards are by far the weakest part of my game. Those finesse wedge shots, those three-quarter wedge shots, wedge distances, wedge accuracies, it's just honestly something that I haven't practiced because I've been so focused on full swing and everything else. In all honesty, really dialing in the delivery and the contact and the strike and the feel for those finesse shots should bleed over into full swing shots. So now that I have all of this data and I've got all of these ideas on what I need to improve, where do we really go from here? So let's talk about golf IQ. I've actually purchased the Golf Decade System by Scott Fawcett. He's a former PGA Tour pro that teaches college professionals and some touring pros. I know he's done some work with Bryson DeChambeau and like Maverick McNeely and Will Zalatoris. He basically gives you a system that allows you to learn mathematically what is the best strategy for your game. And in all honesty, when it comes to golf IQ, I'm open to all ideas that can help me improve from people that have actually taught other competitive golfers and have actually gotten other gotten other collegiate level athletes to win titles and play very good golf at a high level. But again, if it's good enough for Bryson, it's definitely good enough for me to give it a try. So I'll give you a little quick snippet. Here's one of the things that we're focusing on in the initial phases. So there's a thing he calls the Tiger 5, and it's 5 things that Tiger has tracked about his scores and his scoring average, and I know 3 of these to be correct based off of as much Tiger footage as I've watched. So the 5 things that Tiger tracks to ensure, good scoring success is no bogeys on par 5s, no doubles, no 3 putts, no bogeys from 150 and in. I think Tiger says from 9 iron and in, which is about my 9 iron. So no bogeys with a 9 iron or less in hand. And then no blown easy saves, which Scott simplifies into no 2 chips. I love that there's a simple 5 things that you can focus on. And if you understand golf scoring, you can see why Tiger was so religious about these 5 specific things. And I've watched many documentaries where Tiger himself talks about him being 13 strokes ahead or 10 strokes ahead in the lead and going to his caddy and saying, I am not making a bogey today. I don't care what happens. If I don't make a bogey, then they've got to catch me. So super excited to jump into that. Just wanted to give you a little taste of what's to come in that area. And let's talk about swing changes. So I'm actually in the process of making a video about that sliding hip. It's something that I have been thinking a lot about, and I've got some really interesting ideas on how I'm going to go about actually putting in some serious work into making an effective swing change in my game over the course of the offseason. And then finally, the approach play inside of 150. I'll be 100% honest. I don't practice this because it's tedious to practice it. Like, very rarely do I have enough time to film and to actually go to a golf course and drop a few balls at 150 yards, 130 yards, 120 yards, et cetera, and hit them. And I don't really have the equipment to measure those distances. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to invest in a quality launch monitor. I've looked at the Mevo Plus, which can do dispersion, but unfortunately, as of the filming of this video, that damn thing is on back order for 14 weeks. Clearly, there's a lot of golf nuts out there that want this launch monitor. So the fact that it's back ordered is definitely a sign that it's probably as good as everyone says it is in the reviews. I'll probably have to buy something secondhand, but rest assured, I will be getting a quality launch monitor. So my first official season as a competitive golfer is finished, and I had no idea that I would be exactly where I am in just 2.5, what feels like very short years. Like, it just goes to show that if you put in the hard work and you're open and honest with yourself about your game and you do the difficult things, you can definitely get the improvements you want to see. I definitely want to thank you all down that lens for watching my content, for commenting and talking about your own stories. All of those things really help me and really motivate me to keep this process going forward. And I'm just excited that I can share that journey. So thank you all down that lens, and make sure if you haven't yet already subscribed to the channel, please do so. Hit that subscribe button. The best compliment you can pay me is a thumbs up. Season 2 is going to be dedicated to the war on bogeys. They are a virulent vermin and they must be vanquished. As always, thank you very much for watching my YouTube channel. Deuces, people. Let's keep it moving.